Hello, today we're going to learn how to make this spring balance collage. It has formal, informal, and radial balance on it. And I'm going to show you how to make these things. So remember that formal balance is the symmetrical balance where the sides are mirror images of each other. Radial balance is where it radiates out from a center point. And then informal balance is where the sides don't match, but it finds other ways to balance out. So to make the tree, first of all, what we're going to do is take a piece of paper, colored paper if you have it. If not, white paper, you could color it yourself, and fold it in half. Either way, hot dog or hamburger, depending on how you want to do it, how big you want the tree to be, okay? So on the folded edge, we're going to draw a tree. I'm going to use marker just so you can see it better. Don't make the trunk too thick because when you cut it out, the trunk will become double whatever size you make it. So you don't want to make a very thick trunk at this point. So then you cut it out. While it's still folded, cut through both sheets of paper. And there are other ways to make trees, but this is just the way I'm doing it. You can make yours look however you want as long as it has formal balance. Then when you unfold it, it has formal balance because the two sides are mirror images of each other. So then you can glue that onto your background on one side. Now the flower is a little trickier, and there are a lot of ways to make flowers that you can find on the internet and stuff, so this is just one way to do it. But basically you're going to take your sheet of paper, cut into a square, and you're going to fold it in half on the diagonal. So fold it into a triangle shape. And there you go. Then you're going to fold it one more time, so you're just going to fold it in half again to make a smaller triangle. Now that it's a triangle, every time you fold it in half, it's just going to become a smaller triangle. So that's 2 folds. Then you're going to do 3 folds. So 3 folds. And just make sure it's nice and neat if you can. Now if you look at it, you'll see that this side is one solid fold, and this side is 3 folds, and then this edge right here, edge, it's just a bunch of the ends of paper. So this is the top. You want to make sure you know that that's the top where you can see all the ends of the paper. So what we want to do is we want to cut off some of that top to make it more of a acute triangle. I'm trying to remember my geometry terms. Basically, we just want to cut off, and I'm just drawing this to show you. You want to cut off like that, just to make it a nice smaller triangle. See, and there's, when it's left, it's just a smaller triangle where these 2 sides should be equal in length. This side, I think, wound up a little shorter, but these 2 sides should be equal in length. So now we're going to draw kind of like a thick V on it, starting in this corner and going down and then coming back up to this corner. So when I say a thick V, I mean you want to leave some thickness in between the folded sides and the V shape. You can curve it a little because these are going to become the flower petals. So then you cut those out, cutting through all the layers of paper. Open your scissors up wide and use the middle part of the scissors to cut. This part, that's the toughest part. If you try to cut with the tips of the scissors, it doesn't work. But if I open the scissors up wide and I use the middle part, it works. Or you can have really sharp scissors, but if you don't have really sharp scissors, use the middle. So that's what it looks like after I cut it out. Now, in order to get the hole in the center, what I want to do is just cut off a little bit of this tip right here, just a little bit. The more you cut off, the bigger the hole in the center will be, so just a little bit. So then you unfold it. And there's your flower shape. Now there are other ways to make flowers. If you look in the lesson, there is a link to a site that shows you another way to make flowers where they look a little fancier, but this gets you a basic radial balance shape. So now you're gonna glue that in the middle, or wherever. It doesn't really matter if it's in the middle as long as it's on there. So now on the other side, what you wanna do is you wanna cut out some random shapes that remind you of spring, because this is supposed to be a spring theme. So I chose butterflies and blowing leaves, like green leaves. You could do raindrops, you could do just leaves, you could do other insects besides butterflies, pretty much anything you can think of that might remind you of things blowing around in the wind in the springtime. And what I did was I just drew those on some scraps of paper. Here's some examples. And just cut them out. That's supposed to be a shamrock for like St. Patrick's Day. Don't use marker because then the marker will show up on the cutouts. I just used marker so you guys could see them clearly. But I just drew some. That's like a little flower. And that's a little flower and some butterflies. They don't have to look perfect. So you just cut those out and then you want to glue them on in a way that makes it look like it's balanced. So basically what I'm doing is I'm using multiple small shapes on this side to balance out the one big shape on that side, and that's the key to informal balance. So that is how you do it, and then you just want to label it formal, radial, informal, and you're done. Thanks.